Testing and accountability, standard setting, and consequences matter so much in our schools because without that, we really have no guideposts. We need to be clear with teachers, with parents, with policymakers. What do we expect from our students? What do we expect for them to be successful in college, in careers, and in life? And we need to clearly articulate that. That's what the standards movement is all about. Of course, standards are only part of the equation. Without measurement against those standards to see how well we do, how well students do, how well our system does, and how well we're doing as vigilant taxpayers, we don't know much about what's happening in our schools. We tried a model like that for many, many decades, and we had flat achievement, and we had a lot of kids left behind. And then, of course, without consequences, without the need to act on what we know and what we learn from standards and measurement, then it's really just a hollow promise. It's not good enough just to know that our children, many of them, are being left behind. We have to spring into action to close the achievement gap and to make sure that every child is reaching his or her full potential. Well, testing and information that comes from it are really the parents' and students' best friend, starting with students. Students know themselves that they're on track to be successful. They can take ownership in their own education and in their own futures. Parents obviously can use the information to make decisions about where their students can excel and thrive and where they might want to reconsider having them placed. So it's really arms parents and families with the information needed to really be empowered consumers of education. It also, of course, helps policymakers and the public largely, really refine and tweak our investments. Where do we need help? Who needs help? Are we doing well in math or reading, this school or that, this region or that? Should we emphasize STEM? Do we need to invest in technology? All the myriad things that are revealed through data. It would be really irresponsible to try to run an enterprise without the kind of information that is brought to us by standards and assessment and accountability. When people criticize the whole exercise of standards and assessment and accountability and testing, I really ask them, well, what's the alternative? Are we not going to care enough to find out how our students are doing? And, we tried that for decades, as I say. We shoveled kids and pushed kids through the system without the necessary skills and abilities to advance from one grade to the next. And then they got into the work world without the basic skills necessary to be successful. And it was really a cruel, cruel trick. We've got to have measurements so we can improve the system. And when parents criticize it or policymakers criticize it, I say, well, what should we do? No Child Left Behind, as a federal matter, has been up for reauthorization since 2006, and it is badly overdue for a renewal. Legislative bodies really make policy based on the information that's known to them at the time, and clearly we've learned a lot over this decade plus. And so the things that need to happen to improve the law include, really understanding how better to use assessment, when to have it, in what subjects, for what purposes, how high stakes, can information be made more timely to parents and teachers? A myriad of things that really we're learning more and more every day from the field. What's the potential for technology to really facilitate ubiquitous, seamless, low-stakes assessment to get feedback about how our students are doing so that teachers can get to work on solving those problems?